our Assistant City Attorney, Lee Prince. From our consultant team, we have Charlie Knox and Rosie Dudley. And I believe here from our General Plan Advisory Committee, we have Kristen Durson in the back. So I'll go ahead and I'm Deanna Chow with the Planning Department. And I'll now send
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out in this bad weather and bad traffic to this meeting tonight. It's really important to hear your voice and it's great to see you here. I'm Debbie Schechter. I've met a lot of you. I am with the Peninsula Conflict Resolution Center, and we are a nonprofit based in San Mateo County that does communication and conflict resolution. We partner with a lot of communities to help engage residents in issues that affect them, and that's what we're doing here, partnering with the City of Menlo Park on ConnectMenlo to help them run community meetings to get your input. With me here today is my colleague Nell Marie, who is going to help facilitate in a little bit. So thanks everybody. I also wanted to mention that this meeting is being videotaped. The reason for that is to allow other people who couldn't make it tonight to get the information that's going to be presented. So just want to let you all know. So today I'd like to review the agenda for tonight's meeting and talk about our group agreements. After I finish with the welcome and introductions, we will have a presentation on green and sustainable building. But first, we'll do a quick overview of the general plan. We will break out into a couple of stations to get questions and comments on two main topic areas that are going to be covered in the presentation. Green building is the first topic, and then water and sea level rise is the second topic. So you will note that there are some index cards and pens on your tables. So please use those to write down any questions that come to mind or comments that you have on the presentation. And you'll be able to share those at the stations with the city staff and consultants who will be there. After that, we will come back into the large group with a summary and any other major comments that folks want to make, and then we'll talk about some of the next steps. You'll note that there's a meeting coming up on March 24th to talk about community amenities. But the real purpose of tonight's meeting is to, for you all to learn about green building and water and sea level rise, and for you to give your comments to the city on what you think about the proposed standards that the city has come up with related to green building and sea level rise. So that's what we're hoping to get out of today. The comments that you give will be captured by the city, and we'll talk a little bit about, the city will talk a little bit about the next steps later. So as facilitator, my role is to help things run smoothly, to make sure that we create an environment where you all are comfortable making your comments, asking your questions, engaging with city staff and consultants. And so in order to do that, you all are probably familiar with our group agreements, which we have at every meeting and are posted over there. And up here, speak one at a time, speak respectfully, listen for understanding, speak from your own experience, so knowing that we all come from a different place and have different perspectives based on that. Let the facilitator guide the process, and please keep your technology on silent. Can folks agree to follow those for the next couple hours? Great, thank you. All right, next up is Charlie.
Hi everyone, I'll just give a brief overview of where we are in the general plan and zoning update, the ConnectMenlo project. For those on the slide, some additions on top of the prior schedule. One is the extra red box under zoning development and design provisions to reflect the fact that the General Plan Advisory Committee and that reflects a slight stretching of this phase of the process. And you'll notice that we're now on track for September appearance before the City Council with the zoning and general plan update. Just a reminder that everything we're doing began with a community-driven development of guiding principles for the ConnectMenlo general plan and zoning update. And specifically, there's one on sustainable environmental planning. And of course, that leads us into the general plan programs and the municipal code update, including the zoning code. And the sustainable environmental planning guideline reads here. And it talks about Menlo Park being a leader in these efforts to address climate change, adapt, protect resources, conserve energy and water, and promote green building. And we're here tonight to look at what those details would look like in the form of the municipal code update and zoning ordinance. So this slide shows that of the 7 sections that are in the zoning code update that has been in draft form for several months that you guys seen before, there are 4 particular topics we want to try to cover tonight, and city staff is here to do that, specifically green building and energy, water, that's water supply, treatment, distribution, and hazard mitigation and local levels. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Heather Abrams, the city's environmental programs manager. She's going to start with green building.
So green building, sustainable building has a number of benefits, both for builders and the community, including keeping us prepared for the future and keeping people happy and healthy and working. Why is green building so important? So in Menlo Park, about 46% of our greenhouse gas emissions are attributable to the built environment, both residential and commercial, and that's what you see here. California has adopted a number of policies to address global warming and also green building, as you see some of those here. And so the cities are also required to move forward on that. Specifically, the state has adopted goals of having zero net energy buildings, new buildings being constructed by 2020 that would produce the same amount of energy as they would use in a year. And then for commercial buildings in 2030, those goals would come on, and there would also be goals for retrofits of existing buildings. We also have local office building. It's a new build. Some of you may have toured it before. The Packard Foundation offers tours regularly. This is a building that has both office and lab space in it, and so that's of interest because I know that's some of the development that's going to happen here in the M2 area. This is another office and lab location that met the LEED goals, and this is a retrofit, so it was an existing building. This is another existing office building that was able to meet those kind of goals. This is a new office tower, so another example of the kinds of buildings that you might expect to see in this new zone. This is the Exploratorium, and you probably been there, that has cafeteria, public spaces, those kinds of things that we would expect in this zone. And this is a multi-unit residential development that meets those goals as well. So just to give you some examples of the kinds of projects that have already achieved what we're looking to see in the new M2. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ron and some more examples.
Thank you, Heather. I'm Ron Prince, Assistant Community Development Director, and I also work as the building official for the City of Menlo Park. Switch the slide. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to hit on a couple different topics this evening. I'm going to discuss how sustainable building is regulated and achieved. I will also dive a little deeper into what the draft ordinance is proposing, and then I will show some examples of what's been done locally and what some other of the local jurisdictions have done in terms of regulations. In terms of mandating the regulations, California introduced the California Green Building Standards Code in 2010 as a mandatory measure. It's known as CalGreen. It's made up of both mandatory measures and then some voluntary measures known as Tier 1 and Tier 2. It was in response to some of the goals that the state had set out for environmental goals the state had set out. It's part of the Building Standards Code, which is updated every 3 years, and that being the case, it will evolve over time, similar to how the energy code has evolved. When I first started in the industry, the construction industry, the sum total of what lighting requirements, mandatory lighting requirements in the energy code was in a fluorescent light in the kitchen and one in the bathroom. That has changed significantly. We have 50% of your fixed wattage in the kitchen has to be high efficacy. We have motion sensors in the house, and CalGreen will move along and evolve in a similar manner. There are other, while CalGreen establishes the mandatory measures, there are other voluntary measures and systems, programs that exceed the mandatory measures within CalGreen. I'm going to touch briefly on 3 of them, and while there's only 3 here, there's clearly more out there. The first one is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's known as LEED. The second one is CalGreen Tier 1, Tier 2, which I've already mentioned, and then the third one is the Western Passive House. But we do have a passive house here in Menlo Park. The draft proposes a gold standard, as Heather had mentioned, in a variety of different categories. The first category is building design. That's for new construction buildings and significantly modified buildings, such as Facebook's current building that's under construction. It used to be the Raycam/Tyco distribution building. They have significantly modified it and it would fall under this category. The next category is interior design and construction. That's designed to capture tenant improvement projects and buildings that are existing. Operations and maintenance is the third. That is a program through LEED that you need recertification every 5 years, and its intent is to make sure the building is still running efficiently. The last one is neighborhood development. This is for a larger campus type of development that focuses on connectivity between buildings, pedestrian, bicycle access, connectivity to public transportation and other public amenities. The draft also proposes 1 electric vehicle charger for every 5 parking stations, or a total of 10% of the total parking spaces, whichever is greater. Calgary currently mandates that the first EV charging station is installed after 50 parking stalls are installed. It goes up incrementally from there to 200, and once you exceed 200 parking stalls, it mandates that 3% of the parking stalls are EV chargers. Finally, there is provisions for increase for replacement of heritage tree. Currently, it's 2 to 1. That would increase to 4 to 1. Okay, so what is LEED? LEED is a flexible rating system, and you can achieve 4 different levels of LEED. There's LEED certified, silver, gold, platinum. It's based on points. There are, well, as of October, there will be 9 categories in which you can gather the points, and it provides designers and architects the opportunity to meet the architectural needs of the client and still build in sustainability measures into the building. I think Cal Green Tier 1 and Tier 2, I spoke of earlier. They're just, each tier is just more sustainable measures than the last one. Tier 1 incorporates the mandatory measures plus additional, and then Tier 2 incorporates mandatory measures, Tier 1, and then additional ones associated with Tier 2. Okay, so Passive House, which is lesser known, I'll spend a little more time on. This is it's from Germany. It's an amazing design concept. It looks at the house as a coupled system. It starts with an incredibly tightly sealed envelope. It includes passive solar elements, heat recovery ventilator that's a heat exchanger effectively. Super insulation. It requires third-party verification at different stages. So they run computer simulations during the design phase, and then there's specific third-party inspections during the construction phase, and then finally when it's all done, they audit the building to make sure that it's performing as designed. This is a, in fact, I'm going to walk over and show you. This is just a quick kind of generic view of what this thing is. If you excuse me, this is the sealed envelope here, and what happens is the outside here is drawn into here while simultaneously the inside here is being exhausted, and it takes all the heat within the building that we generate and that other things, appliances generate, and that rises to the ceiling that lead down at the floor levels don't get a joint, and it takes it, sucks it, and it goes through the heat exchanger to here. And so what happens is you're always getting this fresh, warm air coming into the building. It's an amazing design. It's solely focused on energy consumption. It does not address water issues at all. Okay, so all of this kind of works together. Elements, many of the elements within Calgary mandatory measures were taken from LEED and some other programs. And you can see here who look at this one. Obviously mandated. The monitoring is typically with the mandatory measures. Building departments does this, and then the rest of these measures would have to be third-party verification. Okay, so the interesting thing is, as I said, that Cal Green was based largely on LEED and to a certain extent Mill Green, which is a California-based system. And when you just meet the mandatory measures, it equals equates to about 24 LEED points. And if you meet the measures of mandatory measures in Tier 1, that earns you about 58 LEED points, which is 2 points shy of gold. And LEED was proposed because of the flexibility of the system, the 9 different categories in which you can get the points, and they have additional points that you can get to innovation. And innovation is kind of a strange nebulous term that it's better defined within the body of the LEED documents. But it's those types of things that you can get points for that allow a design of a building to really stay a design and architectural as opposed to just a kind of a square thing that performs well. I would equate it to you can build a Ferrari as opposed to so within locally, what's happening is Menlo Park, as Heather mentioned, we have LEED silver for in the downtown Pacific plan. Palo Alto requires Calgary Tier 1 for tenant improvements, Tier 2 for home construction. San Francisco is fascinating. They mandate They mandate, LEED Gold for new construction and silver for other types of projects. But they also prioritize building permits. If you exceed those standards, they prioritize building permit and just understand it's an increase in floor area.
Really quickly, if people did tier 2, covering tier 2, is there a corollary in terms of a LEED certification like you did for tier 1?
Yeah, Calgreen tier 2, tier 2 exceeds LEED Gold. I don't know what the number benchmark. I don't know what the number would be. It should probably pretty close to platinum.
Okay, thank you.
So San Francisco does a variety of things. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 quick case studies that I was deeply involved in. This is Hamilton Park. It's 47 new single-family homes that were built in 2005, 2006. The interesting thing I mean, it was a great project, and they did a very nice job. But if you notice all of these things that are listed up here, at the time, this was a little more cutting edge. They were tankless water heaters were relatively new. The radiant roof barrier was not widely used by the roofing industry. Tight decking, so they actually tested their ducts. Duct testing for your heater ducts, you know, we're talking about. Duct testing did not become mandatory in California until 2013. So apparently it was okay to leak hot air into your attic. But, so they incorporated all of these things. After this project, they went on and they became the Clarendon Homes. They became Passive House certified. And this home here is on North London. It's the first Passive House, certified Passive House built on the peninsula. And it performs very, very well. They go to their website and they have information on Passive House in general. But they developed both, there's photovoltaic, they also use hot water, preheat. The cells are up here, there's about a 100-gallon tank of water. It looks like a regular water heater in the garage. And that preheats before it hits the tankless water heater, so you're drawing down using less natural gas to heat the water. And that's it for me. It's kind of it.
A little bit more vertically challenged than my colleagues. My name is Azalea Mitch. I'm a senior civil engineer in the utilities group within Public Works. And our role as utilities is to manage the water district, the stormwater system, and the closed landfill at the Bedwell Bayfront Park. So we are pretty busy. The Menlo Park Water District supplies water to about 16,000 customers located on the northern and southern sections of the city. As you can see, the M2 area lies mostly within the lower zone and the high pressure zone of our service area. We purchase 100% of our water from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, and most of this water comes from the Sierras, and it's delivered to us via the head section system, which is a pretty impressive and complicated system of aqueduct. We have an agreement with the SFPUC to purchase a maximum amount of water every year, and that's 1,630 million gallons a year. So state law requires that every 5 years we update our urban water management plan. And what that plan, in that plan, what we do is we basically assess the growth over a 25-year horizon. We take a look at current demand, we take a look at growth and our water supply. We started the update on this plan just last year, and the findings indicate that, indicate that water demand will increase with the projected growth, particularly in the M2 area. As you can see, in 2040, we will reach our maximum allocation, the maximum amount of water that we can purchase from the PUC. Since this water comes from the Sierras, you all know we've been this is our 5th year of drought, and it affects the reliability of that water supply. as part of the urban water management plan, we are required to make an assessment of the dry year conditions. And that means that during either single year droughts or multiple year droughts, we won't have access to that full allocation from the SFPUC. And based on data that they provide, we make an assessment based on our water demand and our water supply. And as you can see here from the projected dry year conditions, we may see a shortfall in 2020 of about 7%, and in 2040 up to 31%. So we will not have enough water to supply the increased growth that we're currently projecting we'll see. So what can we do to address these shortfalls? Menlo Park residents have done an excellent job conserving. I think you have all, we had an executive order from the governor to conserve. We've cut back a lot on outdoor use. People have done a great job really being cognizant of the amount of water that they're using. And we've had a successful year. We do have other options. We are currently, as part of the Water System Master Plan, which we also started last year, we are looking at the feasibility of bringing in recycled water. And what is recycled water? That's basically treated water that is treated to standards suitable for to offset uses like irrigation, the flushing of toilets and urinals. I always say Menlo Park is an interesting place because I'm a wastewater person, and we don't treat our wastewater. It basically gets conveyed by the West Bay Sanitary District to Redwood City. Most of it goes to Redwood City, and some of it goes to Palo Alto. So we don't have any wastewater to recycle. We have, as part of the Water System Master Plan, we have been meeting with both cities to look at possibly expanding their systems so that they can reach us and so that we can develop a recycled water program. Redwood City right now is in the process of reaching the new campus, the new Stanford University campus on Broadway Street, and that pipeline will be completed in 2018. So that brings that recycled water source within a mile from our city boundary and pretty close to the M2 area. Palo Alto, we've also been meeting with Palo Alto, and they are currently planning to extend their system into East Palo Alto, which would then bring that supply closer to us. The West Bay Sanitary District is currently planning a project at the Sharon Heights Country Golf Course to build a recycled water facility at the golf course that would supply recycled water to that area. So we've been pretty busy trying to figure out how to get that, what we call the purple pipe. So all recycled water pipelines need to be purple, so that people know this is recycled water, it's not potable. However, building that system will take time. It requires an extensive distribution system, and it requires that we be ready to receive that water. Another option that developers currently have is on-site treatment. And what on-site treatment is basically, these are basically building-specific treatment units that can recycle the water on-site. That water can be piped indoors for the flushing of toilets and urinals, and it can also serve as irrigation. And these systems can treat a number of sources of water, such as rainwater, if I can see that, stormwater, foundation drainage, gray water, and black water. There has been a lot of interest in these systems. They're innovative, and they really provide a much higher degree of control and resiliency on the building scale. The types of units depend really on the source of water, and these can be systems that can be located in basements. They can be this is a membrane bioreactor, and this system is called a living machine. These are constructed wetlands that were actually built at the SFPUC headquarters. So if you ever get a chance to tour that building, it's very impressive how these basins run outside along the sidewalks and then and back into a building in a cafe. And this building, all the black water is treated and then brought back into the building, and that's what's used to flush all the toilets. As you can see here, this water can be used to offset the indoor uses and also cooling, as well as irrigation. So what are we proposing as part of the draft zoning changes? We are proposing changes that will help us address these potential shortfalls in potable water supply. One of the things we included is really banning outdated systems like the single pass cooling systems. These are systems where the water just flushes in once and it ends up in the sewer. Palo Alto prohibited these systems in 2013, and we're proposing to do so now. We are proposing to establish water budgets as part of new development. We have developed a method where we can estimate how much water will be used, and we are proposing to track that consumption throughout the year to ensure that efficiency is, that we really are focusing on water efficiency. We're also requiring that new construction include dual plumbing, and this will allow every building to be ready for that recycled water once it reaches us and once we develop the recycled water program. Both the cities of Palo Alto and Redwood City have required dual plumbing in new construction since 2008. So as you can see, we are proposing things that other cities have basically been ahead of the game. Something that is, I spoke about on-site treatment units, this is something that the SPUC started requiring in 2012. These building-specific units that allow for the recycling of water on-site. And what these systems allow is basically developing a full-blown recycled water program will take a long time. And there is interest in really including this as part of the building design. And we have been working with Facebook on that idea. So from the subject of not having enough water to having too much water. And thank you for being here on a rainy day. When it rains, we're all really happy because the Sierras are getting to the snow. As you all know, we as city planners and city engineers, our job is to plan for growth and to plan to address hazards, and a big one being sea level rise. We're right here on the bay. We have seen sea level rise is not something that's new. We've seen the seas rise 8 inches over the last century, and this is from measurements taken at the Golden Gate Bridge. Earlier last year, the Superior Court of California, San Mateo County, issued a grand jury report on sea level rise that asked all the cities within the county to basically respond to that, and for us to really come together and figure out what are our plans. The county has also taken the lead. They started a vulnerability assessment last year, and under the study, what the county will do is basically identify all those assets affected by sea level rise, and they will recommend mitigation measures. This plan will be completed mid this year. So we hope to take this plan and really build on our vulnerability assessment for Menlo Park. As you all know, the M2 area lies within, most of it, within the 100-year flood zone. And there's a distinction between coastal flooding related to waves or a storm surge or tides to sea level rise. Sea level rise is permanent. With tide events, this is flooding that has a probability of occurring, right, once every 100 years. Sea level rise is permanent inundation. And we've been using tools to help us plan for this. This is a scenario that shows what 3.3 feet would look like under sea level rise. And as you can see, most of the M2 area would be affected. When we look at a combination of that 100-year event with sea level rise, sea flooding is definitely more expensive. So what are we doing to plan for this? We have a lot of things in the pipeline. You know, Heather has been working on the climate action plan, and a lot of these challenges go back to the climate, to our energy use. We are working with the San Francisco Joint Powers Authority on a project that consists of the construction of miles and miles of levees along our cities. And what this project along Menlo Park, what it would do, it would basically build a levee that would take all the properties out of that 100-year flood zone and provide 3 feet of sea level rise protection. The feasibility study for this project will be completed this year, and we will continue to work with the JPA to work on design and also trying to find the funding for this project. So what are we proposing as part of the draft regulations? We are proposing that new development incorporate sea level rise protection in their design. And this is an example of a brick building, building 20, Facebook's building 20, where they basically built the first floor above to allow for parking and buses. So this design suits multiple purposes, parking, and also has the benefit of sea level rise protection.
Go check us.
So as we plan for these hazards, whether they be water issues, climate, and sea level rise, we will, later this year, we will begin a hazard mitigation planning and climate adaptation plan for the city. We will identify the hazards, we will assess the vulnerability of our assets that will be affected, assess that risk, and develop the resilience strategies. In summary, what the draft proposes is they basically represent what the city is recommending that our resilience strategy be to address these hazards. We are asking for a fair share contribution for buildings to incorporate that design for sea level rise, that they incorporate design for water efficiency, that we establish water budgets so that we can track that water use and ensure that efficiency is maintained. That the buildings be designed and be ready with dual plumbing to use recycled water, whether it's us providing it through Redwood City or Palo Alto, or whether that is being done on site. And to incorporate green building and energy standards in the design. In summary, our effort here in coming up and strategizing is really to come up with that resiliency approach, which will really become a partnership. So thank you very much for your time. All right, so now you've had a chance to hear about a little bit of the context for the city's proposed zoning standards related to green building, energy, water, and sea level rise. So you've heard the context and you've heard about what some of those actual proposed standards are. So what we like to do at this point is we have 3 stations set up around the room. The first one is in the back there, and there's a board, and then there's a flip chart that says green building comments. So there will be some, thank you for pointing that out. So I believe that Ron and Heather will be at that station. The second station will be water and sea level rise, which is right back there, and Azalea will be there. We also have the third station, which we're calling a parking lot. So if you have questions or comments on other issues, you can go to that station. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you about a half hour or so to go to any or all of the stations that you would like. And we are encouraging you to ask your questions of the city staff and consultants that will be at those stations. And we're encouraging you to write any comments that you have on the index cards that you'll find at your tables. There's cards and pens. And the reason we want to capture your comments on the cards is because the city really wants to have a written record of all the comments so that they can respond to them as they move forward with the standards. So we're going to do that for about a half an hour, and then we're going to come back in the large group, summarize some of the questions and answers that were received, and give you an opportunity to make any comments in the large group that you'd like to make. So again, feel free to go to any or all of the stations that you'd like and interact with the city staff and consultants who will be there. So what we're going to try to do is a couple of things. First, I'm going to ask the city staff who are at the stations to come up and summarize some of the key questions that they got and to share the answers with you all. So let's see, that would be Ron and Heather and Azalea. Are you guys ready to do that? Azalea, you want to start? Ron and Heather, you want to start? So you're summarizing the questions, some of the key questions that you heard and your answers. Okay? Okay?
So I'll start and just talk a little bit about green building. I'm not sure we've got a lot of questions. We've got some comments. So we're looking forward to some specific suggestions about ways to refine the draft. We also heard that some of the folks in the room would like to have more sit-down working meetings, and that they had experience building these kinds of buildings that we're talking about, and so that's a great way to start.
There was a great question on sea level rise and how to incorporate in your design and construction what that level should be. Given that as development happens, it's not uniform, right? Some buildings are being constructed now, some will be built in the next 20 years, and as sea level rise rises, what is that level given the life expectancy of that building? And that's something that we will definitely work with our planning group, engineering group to really focus on what those thresholds should be. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So I wanted to give a few minutes. If there's anyone who has a key question, insight, or observation that you would like to make that you didn't already have a chance to discuss with city staff that you'd like to make for the benefit of the group. And we're a relatively small group tonight, so we have time for people to make a few key observations or comments for the benefit of the group. Yes.
Hi, I'm Diane Bailey with Menlo Park, and I wanted to talk about the level of building in Menlo Park that we're about to embark on, and looking at the longevity of buildings sticking around for on average 50 years, sometimes centuries or more, and what kind of carbon footprint we're locking ourselves into with our building styles and patterns and zoning codes. And I just
Thank you. Any other key comments? Okay, well, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to come out on a rainy day and participate and give your comments. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Deanna, who's going to talk a little bit about the next steps.
Great, thank you. So this wraps up our second meeting of our 3 series topic sessions. The next meeting will be held in 2 weeks, exactly here in the room, same room, at 6:30 p.m. And the topic will be community amenities. That meeting will also be recorded. If you aren't able to attend, we will be having recording, and then the recording will be posted to our webpage. Then following that, we heard a lot of what are we doing with the comments? How do I provide my comments? What happens then to my comments? So our intent is to gather the comments from each of these deep dives, also taking written comments that we received. Recall we also had a previous focus group meeting that we're taking those comments and compiling all of the information in which then staff and the consultant team will be looking at the various comments and making recommendations to the GPAC for their April 21st meeting. We'll also be looking at things that may not be as clear, things that may need further discussion by the GPAC, and those items will be presented as questions for further discussion by the GPAC at their April 21st meeting. And then we would hope to have comments received no later than March 31st so that they can be incorporated and included as part of the upcoming GPAC packet. So then following the GPAC meeting, where we hope the GPAC will be providing us staff and consultant team with recommendations to make modifications, and then we will be presenting that to the Planning Commission at a study session in the early May timeframe. And then concurrently with that, we'll also be working on the preparation of our draft environmental impact report and our draft fiscal impact analysis to be released also in the May timeframe, with anticipated completion and adoption of the general plan for the Planning Commission and City Council in September and October of this year. So with that, thank you very much for coming, and to me,